All hail clearly the greatest monster ever to exist.
Behold! King Shakalaka! Ow!
Sorry, I was already comboing. I wanted to swing at him. It's not often you get a humanoid creature to hit in the face with a hammer.
I'd say one of, if not the, weirdest large monster to ever grace this series.
Long may he reign. Hello, my fellow hunters. Today I want to talk rarity. You know, the shiny Pokemon equivalent of monsters, but not in the sense that only quite literally once in a blue moon does a lucent Nagakuga reveal himself. Not in-universe lore ecology rarity, but real, actual rarity. But how would I define it that way? Well, it occurs to me that obviously we know every monster that's been in every Monster Hunter game. Which, yes, I know, this is the kind of cutting observations that you tune in for, I'm sure. But that means that we can look at which monsters have actually been represented the least over the years. Rathian and Rathalos, for example, have been in every single Monster Hunter game. Every single one. All of them. Because of course they have. Rathian is on the logo for the original game. Rathalos is the flagship of the entire series as a whole. But then imagine the opposite of that. Who's been in the least? And they are kind of in a little club together that's a huge shame, because some of the best monsters ever created have actually shown up the least. Like King Shakalaka. If you've ever beaten that meat warrior, I probably could have phrased that better, then you are part of a very special club to have done so, because not many hunters have. But also, King Shakalaka is a little bit of a meme monster, let's be honest. As much as I would love him to return, I don't think he's kind of in the same category as an air quotes proper monster that's like, oh man, it's been ages since I've hunted a King Shakalaka. I sure hope Wild's Master Rank brings King Shakalaka. Again, just saying it, it would be hilarious, but you get what I mean, right? He feels almost like an event quest level monster than an actual large monster. So, when we look at monsters that just haven't reared their heads for a good stabbing in a long time, or indeed very infrequently, what are we left with? Well, it would be easy for me to go Copper Blangonga or Ivory Legeucris. They've only been in one Monster Hunter game, which in Ivory's case is quite surprising, I feel like, but that's kind of too easy, right? An obscure, uninteresting subspecies, etc. doesn't feel like the most, oh no, you know? I don't think anyone's gonna lose sleep if Copper Blangonga never comes back to Monster Hunter ever again. I'm so sorry, that one guy out there that has Copper Blangonga as their absolute favorite monster of all time. Why? Anyway, so I wanted to look at monsters that actually are main base monsters that have no right to be banished like this. So then we look at things like final boss level, like Nakakos, like Dalamadur. They're both recent-ish, right? 4th gen, so it doesn't feel like a huge amount of time has passed for them to come back, and they're big final boss monsters. Obviously, gogmazios has recently proved that they're back on the table, but it's not exactly ridiculous that they've not returned. It doesn't feel like they've been forgotten, because who's going to forget Nakakos and Dalamadur? And then you've got things like Cedius or Gobul, or, you know, aquatic-based monsters that, while, you know, big popular monsters, especially in our Wales case, he's not going anywhere in our minds anytime soon, and I'm sure the next time, or if there is a next time we get underwater combat, he's going to be a strong contender. So they don't really work because they're tied to the literal ocean that we've not gotten back yet. So where are we actually going with this then? I'm glad you asked. At 5th place, we have Monoblos. This one is an interesting one, because there are monsters that have been in less games. Monoblos has been in 7 games, the first 6 games, including the versions that we didn't get in the West, and then Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. And while that's not bad, considering it's like the counterpart of Diablos, and Diablos is one of the most commonly reoccurring monsters, and how quality of a monster Monoblos is, like, I'll be honest, I am full Team Monoblos over Team Diablos. I love Diablos, but Monoblos there's just something about the single horn that does it for me a lot more, and I think he's absolutely wonderful. but it's just been way too long since I have hunted one, especially as 6 out of his 7 versions are very early on 1st and 2nd gen Monster Hunter. I think Monoblos more than anything on this list, because he's going to be the most normal, regular, can just show up, no one would bat an eyelid monster, deserves a modern incarnation. I would adore him to be the choice for a returning of the Blosses in Master Rank Wilds. Give Diablos a little bit of a break and actually give Monoblos his way back in. Especially because I think White Monoblos is infinitely cooler than Black Diablos too. He's definitely my biggest normal, actually could kind of happen likely pick for rare or not much hunted monsters that still is quite known and common and could happen that we really need back. Only to start softly here. But then we move on to 4th place, where we've got the giantest of enemy crabs, Shen Gaoren. And he has only appeared in 3 Monster Hunter games, which again is an absolute crime. And while he has appeared in the likes of Monster Hunter Online, it's not exactly the same. To say he is the crab of all crabs, absolutely massive and incredibly, at the time, fun hunt. Obviously, by today's standards, it's stab the little ends of a crab and hope for the best. But imagine a modern incarnation of Shen Gaoren. It would be absolutely perfect. You could go ridiculous with him. Give him the full gogmazios treat make him a full-on cinematic experience with phases. The fact that he's so tall as well, you could really play height into it. It's why with Wirebugs in Risebreak, I really wanted to get Shen Gaoren, especially once we actually got the crabs back in Sunbreak. It's a shame that such a magnificent creature has been relegated to the annals of Monster Hunter history. And if you have hunted one personally, then you've got quite a rare crab trophy on your hands. In 3rd place then, appearing in only 2 Monster Hunter games, old and, well, tentacled. It's Yama Tsukami. This one probably hurts the most, especially as it's one of Connor's favourite monsters in his top 3, and it really deserves another run out. Like, honestly, a giant tentacled mouth with a mountain on its back, a living environment floating through the sky that just hoovers up the ground to feed, has thunderbugs living in its mouth with human-looking teeth. This thing is an interesting walking horror show, and I absolutely adore it. Yama Kurai in Frontier is a really good example of how to take this and make it an actual hunt, and that's something I'm really glad I got to experience. But the mainline deserves it, and Yama Tsukami, more than I think most monsters, could be transformed into the most epic of cinematic yet still properly hunt experiences across multiple phases. Even the original fight at the top of the tower, his spinning tentacles round, he really did leave an impression, because look at him, he's absolutely mental. He's unlike anything else. Even just having his skeleton and likeness, but as a new monster type, hell, you could totally tell me that he is actually a cephalopod, and I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid now that we actually have that. But I think it is really sad that Yama Tsukami, one of the most distinct, bold, interesting, and ridiculous monsters we've ever gotten, only got to be in 2 Monster Hunter games before getting promptly forgotten about. He is such a big deal for how much of a small part he's played in the overall history of Monster Hunter. Then, though, we move on to 2nd place, a monster that has literally only been in 1 Monster Hunter game. And yeah, we're at 2nd place here. And that is Vespoid Queen, the original big bug and the progenitor to the likes of the Celtices and even the branching off to the Temnocerans with Nursilla and the like. Vespoid Queen literally just got to be in Monster Hunter Freedom Unite and then was forever squashed, which I think is a shame. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, the actual Vespoid Queen fight is a little bit, anticlimactically lame. Like, it's really novel. It's like, oh my god, there's a giant bug, which back then was, whoa, alright then. But the actual fight, she kind of did just act like a big Vespoid. But that said, her actual aesthetic, her kind of pearlescent wings, even the hunting horn that Vespoids make is kind of based off her, is really, really fun. And a modern incarnation that maybe uses Vespoids as a swarm weapon against you as you hunt her would be really fun. She'd be a great sort of middle tier monster, you know, above the entry levels, kind of like Doshagama level, I think, and a real good excuse to have a proper swarm encounter, which I've always wanted in Monster Hunter. I always had a lot more hope for Great Izuchi working in tandem with his little guys, but in practice it turned out to just have no bearing on the hunt whatsoever. Whereas a swarm of Vespoids, maybe used as an actual attack, like a stream of them acting as a beam, oh, that would be cool. I think the bugs in general are due a massive comeback in modern Monster Hunter, a big resurrection, and having Vespoid Queen, the original big bug, actually be part of that charge in a modern incarnation would be really, really good. But yeah, one game. So if you have hunted a Vespoid Queen, well, then you've played Freedom Unite, which means you've played one of the best Monster Hunter games of all time, but still, that is quite a rare pelt to own. But, of course, the rarest is also in only one Monster Hunter game, and also that Monster Hunter game is the same as Queen Vespoid. Monster Hunter Freedom Unite is Hypnocatrice, the frontier bird that was borrowed along with Levisioth, but this one will likely never be returned. It's not impossible, of course, especially now frontier monsters with Espinas have been made a complete possibility, but this is one of the monsters that I think more than likely will never see the light of day again, full stop, which means if you have hunted a Hypnocatrice in mainline Monster Hunter, you really have hunted something rare by today's standards. Most Monster Hunter players are world onwards. Anyone watching this, statistically speaking, you're not likely to have played a Monster Hunter game that isn't world onwards. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make you any less of a Monster Hunter. It's awesome there's so many hunters. But I imagine there is a good amount of you, and let me know in the comments, that haven't hunted the monsters we've talked about today. And I would wager Vespoid Queen and Hypnocatrice are top of that list. Hypnocatrice was really, really fun. A sleek, chunkier, bit more threatening Yankutku-esque monster, and definitely higher tier. Again, a kind of a mid-tier monster, the lullaby bird, and it's just really, really a good fight by the standards of the time, of course. As it is now, it would need updating like everything does, but it would be cool to get another little toe dipped in Frontier, especially with it a thing that can actually happen. So there you go, guys. For me, and statistically, the monsters that the average person watching this is least likely to have actually hunted. Let me know how many of these scalps you've claimed, but for now, well, let me know what you think. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe and hit the bell for more. Consider supporting the future of the channel on Patreon down below, and until we meet again, a goodbye.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.